Get lock, stock, geezers, snatch, geezers, revolver, geezers, rock and roller, geezers.
Everybody in think of stop, our brother's come home, and they have a massive thing and stuff like that.
I was like, fucking hell.
It's shocking.
Really good. And to go back to Noah Wiley, he is absolutely effing awesome. Hail Mary.
He's been a very nosy boy. Hi, welcome to the CineShow Podcast, and I'm Jamie. This is...
And I'm Matt. There's something on my mind that's been troubling me.
Go on.
Guy Ritchie.
Because?
He seems obsessed with the gentleman geezer.
That's kind of his thing now, isn't it?
If you take a look at his filmography, and I'll tell you why it's come up, I started watching Young Sherlock.
Okay.
Sherlock Holmes, under the custody of Mr. Ritchie, is now a geezer. Now, he didn't direct the series, but he's in it as a producer and a maker of said series. Look back through his catalogue, what do we get? We get lock, stock, geezers, snatch, geezers, revolver, geezers, rock and roller, geezers. 2 Sherlock Holmes films, granted not that geezer-ish, although I would argue that Watson has a little bit of geezer about him. We then move forwards, King Arthur, now a geezer. Charlie Hunman is a geezer. Ministry of Ungentlemanly Warfare.
Load of geezers.
Soldiers, but geezers.
But he's not hiding it then, is he?
He's not hiding it, but it just made me think about, are there any other directors that come to mind that are obsessed with the same character type? There's a new film coming out called In the Grey. Guy Ritchie, Henry Cavill, Jake Gyllenhaal, geezers.
Okay.
And gentlemen.
So at this point, you want him to just own it and do a film called Geezers?
I should say I'm quite partial to a Guy Ritchie film. I'm not dissing the man as a director of his work. I think his early stuff is very accomplished and very good. It's just occurred to me that everything he touches pretty much involves geezers.
Other than...
The Gentleman, the film The Gentleman is Gentleman Geezers.
He did a film with his wife called Swept Away.
He did.
Which we can probably sweep that away.
And I don't think he wants to include that in his canon of work anyway.
No, I think he was probably under pressure at that
So then you think, what if he got hold of James Bond, of the James Bond franchise? It'd be a fairly obvious pick.
Yeah, no. I think it's too stylized, and like you said, James Bond geezer.
Yeah. Does it open up of a shop with James Bond with his tweed waistcoat, his flat cap, coming out of a betting shop?
Do you not think James Bond geezer's already been done by his mate Matthew Vaughn in the
Kingsman?
Yeah. That's pretty much.
That's
James
kind
Bond
of done
geezer,
it already, isn't it?
Yeah.
And that's kind of where James Bond needs to go, because in their wisdom they killed James Bond. Spoiler at the end of No Time to Die. We know he's absolutely dead, he's gone.
So is this a retelling of the thing?
I can't think of any other way they can do it than to go right back to young Bond coming through the ranks, becoming the 00, which they kind of did a little bit at the beginning of Casino Royale with Daniel Craig. He'd just got his license to kill. But further back. But then you are into Kingsman territory, which did the very same thing, but more with a geezerish angle. But I can't see another way of doing it. And who will be James Bond would take some very clever working out as to who's in Denis Villeneuve's wheelhouse. Stephen Knight, the writer. Who does he like?
I mean, kind of pointing to, think about he's too old for it now. It's mad to say, but Cillian Murphy, I think if they'd have got hold of this 10 years ago, he could have potentially been up.
There was the rumours of Aaron Taylor-Johnson, but then I think that was a mix-up with him going to the studio to talk about Craven the Hunter, which was a terrible film. Right. And then they also the Australian lad who's quite the thing at the minute.
Wuthering Heights guy.
Yeah, he's in the frame as well.
He's busy doing soft porn at the minute, mate.
Yes. I think most of his films have been various types of soft porn. So I'll have a think about that, about the Bond thing. I'll do a bit of working out. They're casting directors. Do they have favourites they tend to cast? Who are the young actors coming through?
Ever done a Bond? I know he does Jason
Bourne, but he would be good. As would, I always get the two mixed up. Who was the guy who did Day After Tomorrow? With Tom Cruise and Doug Liman. Doug Liman.
Yeah.
I think they're quite similar in their directive styles. Anyway, so a couple of things there, randomly. Directors who use the same type of characters. Any comments appreciated? And who do you think is going to be the next James Bond? Maybe we can get a bit of a poll going before they actually announce it.
Yes, which is supposed to be this year. So yeah, let's get a poll going. Let's get a poll on the go.
I'd be interested in looking at. I'm going to go back. Interested in looking at the young actors who popped up in Peaky Blinders: The Immortal Man. If Stephen Knight's writing it, he's going to have a bit of sway.
I mean, the only person
young
with enough
British guys in there
is Keoghan, but I just don't see it.
Keoghan's no Bond.
Keoghan.
He's a Bond villain. But he's no Bond.
But that's what I'm saying. I think the only person there with that amount of clout. But then in the Peaky Blinders show, the new one, it's Jamie Bell.
Yes.
And the geezer from Stranger Things, who plays that kid.
Do you mean one of the several thousand kids that star in Stranger Things?
Oh God, I love Stranger Things as well. I've forgotten his name. But yeah, there's one of the Stranger Things kids, the older kids. Is in the Peaky Blinders thing, so you're getting more clout in that sort of wheelhouse. So you never know. Anyway,
we digress.
What I've just decided,
is
put your names down for who you think is going to be the next Bond.
Yep.
We'll lock it in. What's the winner get?
The winner gets a mug.
A mug.
Yes.
Do you want to speak about these mugs?
Well, not only that, I've got a nice selection of mug. Number one, pub mug. Thank you, Dave. Another one from Dave for my birthday, Talk to Me Goose. And one from you, Jamie, as well, which is the Pinheads, which is Marty McFly's band in Back to the Future. If you put your mind to it, you can accomplish anything. That's my little mug selection. Send mugs by all means. Yes, in your comments, start to put who you think James Bond, and I'll keep a list, and maybe I'll go through the list each episode until we find out for sure.
Yeah, and we'll get we'll get some mugs made up.
What would the mug say? I chose the next James Bond?
No, I think we was on about doing like merch that says start the music.
Yeah.
Because we're always hooking up, basically.
Yeah.
So that's got to be our hook.
Yeah.
Start the music.
Yeah.
Okay.
Right.
So anyway.
Carry on.
Where was we? So follow us on Facebook, Insta, and mainly YouTube, and audio-wise,
Spotify. You can also listen to us on Spotify. You can follow on Spotify. Do not subscribe because you can't.
Okay.
And it's there. You just don't see us.
Which might be better.
Probably is.
Depends. But yeah. Okay. So
on this week's show,
we're
going to talk about Project Hail Mary, and then we're going to talk about some other stuff we have watched.
Okay.
Can I just mention that we have a cinema in Cleethorpes and it's brilliant, and it's called Parkway Cinema.
Yes. And
I have done.
Yes, and I did a little video on the look seats on the last one. And I'd only been there once, and now I can confirm, I think I've been there 3 times.
You're going to go there twice?
I saw Peaky Blinders and now Project Hail Mary in there. And I can confirm that now. Like, a lot of local people used to be quite brutal about, things even before they've been made. And I think when there was an announcement about this, there was a lot of people going, "Oh yeah, it's going to be of Grimsby standard or whatever."
And they do talk like that, don't they?
Yeah. That's the generic moaner. It doesn't matter where you're from in the world.
Mouth breathers.
Yeah. But basically, I can definitely concur that it is of amazing quality anywhere. So that me now going out to Leeds, Hull, wherever, to get the looks experience is done. It's now Parkway all the way.
They brought it home.
Yeah.
Right. Well, Project Hail Mary.
Yes.
Starring Ryan Gosling and The Rock. I'm going to give you, if I may...
Dwayne Johnson's in it?
Yes. A Google synopsis.
Okay.
Science teacher Ryland Grace wakes up on a spaceship with no recollection of who he is or how he got there. As his memory slowly returns, he soon discovers he must solve the riddle behind a mysterious substance that's causing the sun to die out. As details of the mission unravel, he calls on his scientific training and sheer ingenuity, but he may not have to do it alone. Let's take a quick look at Project Hail Mary.
There are infinite possibilities for this to go wrong.
This ship wasn't built for this.
Now!
If Grace Rocky saves stars, we can go home.
I think this is a one-way trip for me.
I will not let Grace die.
Okay, that was Project Hail Mary.
Hail Mary.
He's been a very nosy boy.
Project Hail Mary, directed by Lord and Miller. Previous works include the Lego films of the 21 Jump Street films and the Spider-Verse, Spiny Universe. Spider-Verse.
Didn't know the last one.
Up the verse. Around the Khyber.
Up the verse.
Films. So a good track record so far.
Comedy.
So I'm going to throw it across to you first for your thoughts on Project Hail Mary.
Project Hail Mary it deserves its hail.
Hail.
Yeah. I loved it. It's not a perfect film by any stretch of any imagination. There are a lot of, dare we say, plot things, but it is heavy fiction. So realistically, they can plug any of them plot holes by saying it's fiction. Chill out. But it didn't feel. How long is it?
2.5.
Didn't feel that long. And you know, as we always know when I say that, well, for me it never. It felt like a 2-hour film, 2:10. And if you've seen any of my reviews before, actually, it's one of my biggest sort of like things I can give a film is if it didn't feel like you was checking the clock, so to speak, then they've done their job. Regardless of the length of the film, they've done their job. Story's great, and the one thing I love about it as a filmmaker is it's carrying. Certain films have been trying to move the torch forward and bring back spec scripts, bring back original stories.
Yep.
And there's been a few of them this year that have been successful, which is so pleasing to see. The Rip with
Affleck and Damon.
You could argue that obviously them being in it was the draw, but that doesn't matter. It was a spec script. It's an original story. It was up there. Send Help.
Yep.
And even went to see, I think I did tell you, I went to see that crazy film with Liam Neeson in it and the other kid from Stranger Things, Joe Keery.
Cold Storage.
Just a rant. Do you know what I mean? Nothing massively remarkable about it, but enjoyable. Yeah. Now, what's happening for me is, it feels like now there's less reliance. I mean, you're still getting your Avengers movies coming out this year, and they're still going to make more money than any of them put together. But in previous years, there's been far less gambling on putting films like Project Hail Mary in the cinema for so long, and it's paid off. So films like this, the more films like this do well and the more people come out to see them, the more you're going to get the industry. Yeah. The industry is never going to be the same because of streaming and certain agreements and AI and stuff like that. But it had been drifting away because people, I think studios had been making the wrong assumption that IP stuff, things that are already successful, books, remakes or sequels, was the only way to go. Films like this clearly proving that's not the case. They're not making. I think it's made 400 million at this point, but for what the film is, that's now unheard of. They're always looking to make their money back on streamer deals, so it goes on the cinema like a week later. I think this has been out 3 weeks now, and it's still going strong. That can only be a positive
Similarly,
thing.
actually, The Martian did incredibly well, didn't it? Really, really well. And again, that was kind of a new sci-fi story. But I concur. I really enjoyed it.
CG's wonderful.
I thought in theory, it shouldn't be the blockbuster it's become. There is very little action. There's only really one action scene, one prolonged action scene involving a swinging ball. The rest of it is it's obviously flashbacks to the guy remembering why he's there and us finding out why he's there. And the bulk of it is literally the relationship between himself and Rocky the alien.
Which makes it all the more impressive. That people are happy to go out, because it's got some gorgeous visuals. So that
it does look. It looks really. And I saw the kind of the Spider-Verse stuff in that very colourful, very almost a bit comic booky, kind of graphic designy, not graphic novel type look to it. I thought it's possibly sagged a little bit in the middle. At the very end, and it's the first time in a long time, my hands were almost drawn together
to clap.
Nearly. I think I got to this point.
What, and it just like
and then stopped. And then remembered I was British, and it
you went British on us.
But no, I really liked the score as well. I thought the score was great. Excellent. It was really unusual. Wasn't your usual thematic action.
No.
What's the term?
It was emotive.
Yeah.
I felt.
Yeah.
Very emotive. And I know a lot of scores are, but this was particularly
It was playful. Almost playful in a way.
Yeah. And it really represents. It's like a third character when there's only two people on screen. It is like that third character sort of like wrapping around you. I
thought he was brilliant. I thought Ryan Gosling was absolutely perfect.
Yeah.
Nailed the vulnerability, but the intelligence and the bravery, and that kind of almost stoned as well at the same time. A man out of fish out of water.
I thought you were going to say geezer.
Yeah, geezer out of fish out of water thing is a guy who suddenly finds himself in space, and when we track back, we find out kind of how much of a shock that was to him, as it all turns out.
So, what did you think to the sci-fi elements as in the story?
Right, now this is probably my slight criticism with the length. Just a little bit too long. The sci-fi elements I didn't particularly follow. I did have to ask one of my mates when we came out, why was he going to space? I didn't get the bit at the beginning. So I kind of seemed to miss the bit of why they were going. Obviously it had something to do with that that cell structure thing. That was it coming down some kind of rainbow toward, and there was certainly some kind of belt.
Yeah.
It was travelling through some kind of belt.
There,
but that didn't matter to me. That didn't really matter to me.
Yeah, no, I actually thought it was lovely. So, like, again, I believe studios have not taken enough gambles on people just to be able to tell a story. Do you know what I mean? And it's just a fantasy. It's a fantasy. Yeah. It's a sci-fi thing made up in someone's brain. You're not supposed to go into these type of movies going, nah, it's not real. Yeah. You're just not supposed to do that. You're supposed, within reason. Yeah.
What was real was their relationship. I thought that was so well done. I thought the Rocky was hilarious.
Yes.
The way, I mean, there's certainly some kind of some quick get-arounds with kind of learning the language and that kind of stuff.
But it's still good.
But once he started talking, interestingly, a lot of it was a physical puppet to make it easier for Gosling to interact with. But also the guy who was the puppeteer ended up being the voice.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Somebody, or Tiz, I think his name is. I don't know his first name.
I didn't know that.
But that was just really well done. And there were a couple of times, although I was the only one out of our group that got a little bit emotional. There were certainly 2 or 3 times when I nearly To use a term actually from another podcast I listen to called Film Junk, Canadian fellas, drop tear is the term they use.
Drop tear?
Yeah, I didn't quite drop tear. I got quite close.
Okay. Did you drop anything else?
I didn't. No, I didn't actually. Oh, popcorn, just all down.
Oh,
the usual
lovely.
thing, all down the front of me, kind of picking it off.
That's a good sign.
Yeah,
That's
for
a good
weeks
review.
afterwards.
Drop popcorn.
But
Drop corn.
Drop corn. I dropped corn. If you drop corn, that's a good thing, like you say, because you just so ingrained you don't even can't remember where your mouth is.
We're coining that phrase.
Can't
now.
remember where your mouth is. We drop corn. Yeah, definitely drop corn.
Yeah, I definitely dropped corn for this, and I went to see it. I went to see it with Alice and the kids and Alice's mum, and she even came out and said that she didn't think she'd be watching a film where she was nearly crying over a rock.
Yeah,
and that's good.
And actually, the fellas I went with didn't think it was going to be that sort of film. Now, I knew there was the biggest element was obviously going to be the relationship between him and Rocky, but I did actually think there'd be more action in it. But that just shows you how good a film doesn't need to rely on constant action.
If you was going to
be entertaining,
do you know when you do
the humans and alien story can carry?
Yeah, it was good. It was like that was the nucleus of it. Again, no pun intended. But if you was going to do those laser reviews where they say something meets something, I would say A Space Odyssey meets Flight of the Navigator.
Yeah, or Space Odyssey meets E.T.
Yeah, no.
Or, what was that film with Dennis Quaid and Lou Gossett Jr.? Old 80s film where they both crash on a planet.
Oh.
He's human, he's alien, and they have to work together to survive. Oh, chuff and shit, what's that called?
Don't know.
Oh.
Sounds ace, though.
Start the music.
Start the music.
It's important that we know. Oh, God, trying to type when you can't see very well as well. AI is thinking. Enemy Mine. 1985, science fiction. They both crash land on a planet. Bond, he's alien, he's human, they have to work together. Bond, become friends. And that's quite tearful as well, actually. Okay, so I'm going to give it... I'm actually going to give it 4, which doesn't sound as much as I'm bigging it up for. But I really did like it. I would highly recommend everybody go and see it. Mm-hmm. Very uplifting. Felt really uplifted coming out of it.
Great soundtrack.
Huge, as if it was floating on air. Yeah, brilliant. And the very end bit, just lovely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a 4 for me as well.
Which is when the hands nearly. I'd love to be on here one episode and say they met.
I would like to go and see that on IMAX.
Yeah.
Go and see it on a Lux, and then go and see it on an IMAX if you feel, because it's just the visuals are just really well done. Yeah. 4 from me as well.
Brilliant. Now let's talk about other stuff we have watched.
Yeah.
Should we start with something we both watched?
Yes.
And I imagine the majority of the country watched.
Yep.
Which was the Peaky Blinders, The Immortal Man, which had a short showing at the cinema and then went on to the old shit flicks.
Okay.
Shall I start with this one?
Yeah.
I was very, very disappointed.
Really?
Yes.
I won't go that far.
To the point where I was marginally upset.
Oh, really? One person I went to see it with was also quite upset.
I will say that I found it quite dull. I found it... I didn't really get much drama out of it. I think the first 45 minutes of Tommy Shelby just wandering around a big old house being depressed was quite boring.
You didn't find Rebecca Ferguson's character?
With whose?
Rebecca Ferguson's character.
Okay. I was excited that Rebecca Ferguson and Tim Roth and Barry Coogan
Tim Roth was great.
Were in it, and I thought they were all perfectly fine. I didn't see it any more than just an extended episode. It wasn't.
So bizarrely, that would also be my review, but I'm not as negative as you. So
that's fair enough.
I genuinely saw it as well as a longer version, or maybe just 2 episodes put together, like watching them back to back.
Yes.
So the negative I've got with that is that if you are intended on doing a film, and it is a follow-on, so to speak, of the series, the point of making a film, and not just another series then, should be that you have a cinematic arc to tell.
Yes.
And it does not do that.
No.
It does not do that at all. It follows pretty much. There's nothing realistically any different for the viewer than what you would get if you was watching the series on a cinema screen. Other than watching it on a cinema screen, which I would, for this type of film and the look of it and stuff like that, I would actually love to watch the series on a cinema screen. Mm-hmm. So that was a bonus. But I didn't feel like I didn't get, if they was trying to tell a cinematic tale to the end of it, I didn't get that. I got 2 episodes in one. That was a finale.
I thought it was also very predictable, even down to kind of the motivations of the characters.
Do you not feel like the series itself is a bit?
Yeah,
like that?
I mean, I could see certainly the film. I could see what was going to happen coming a mile off with the relationships and the loyalties and who was going to go what and how things were going to end up and whose side people would be fighting for. I mean, I think the success of and millions of people will have watched it is partly down to Peaky Blinders nostalgia fandom. I would go out on a limb and really suffer for this, I'm sure, in the comments, and say Peaky Blinders is really good. It's not one of the greatest TV shows ever. I think it has moments of excellence. I don't know. But then I think it is a bit. What I'd say about
it's up there.
It's up there, but it's no Sopranos. It's no.
No, and I don't think like Stephen Knight's not that type of writer.
No.
So he is very much. But weirdly, what I've just said there, he's more of a cinematic type of writer than a TV writer. So he's brought cinema into the program itself. But the irony is, obviously, when he's put that onto the cinema, it hasn't felt any different to the program.
Yeah.
So he's kind of a victim of his own success in that way. Yeah. But for me, the first series that had Sam Neill in it was one of the best series I've ever seen.
Yeah, and I'm not saying it's a bad show. It is held in such high regard. I think it's actually been very adopted by the British.
Yeah.
As our show, our Sopranos, our Breaking Bad, our big UK show.
It's
rightly show, but I mean the stylized stuff in the film was too much for me. There was one bit where Cillian Murphy's stood under some sparks, which was basically the lady under the bucket in Flashdance. It was so stylized, almost to the point where it was kind of right. This is going to look really nice. This is going to look really nice. This is going to look really nice. Let's write something round that because that's going to look brilliant with that spark flying there. And that
They've always done that, and that's what I'm talking about with him writing quite cinematically.
I think that's what slightly puts me off the show.
Oh, right, okay. That's why I like it.
It tries to be a little bit too cool for school.
Yeah, I don't think it's ever tried to be, or like what you're on about Sopranos or a Breaking Bad. They are almost like ultra realism. Yeah. Like that is like everyman in a very. That's an everyman in a very very crazy situation. But what Sopranos isn't, but the Breaking Bad is. This from the off has been
almost like a graphic novel around. Kind of
very good description. Yeah, which I love.
Yeah, and don't get me wrong, I really enjoyed. Watched the whole thing. Really enjoyed it. But the film for me.
Okay, so what are you giving that out of 5?
We don't really give stuff out of 5, do we?
Not?
What they watch.
All right.
I mean, did you drop corn when you saw it at the cinema?
No. No.
Well, there we go then. Say no more.
I didn't drop corn.
What about Tia? Did you drop Tia?
I didn't drop tears either.
No, you should have done. You should have done in theory. If it was as good as it.
One of my friends nearly dropped tears because of his favourite character.
Yeah.
Very early in the film, gets what they consider to be not worthy storyline, not a worthy storyline for that character.
Yes.
So I don't know I know it's on Netflix, but I don't know how you feel about Spoilers.
I'm open
You're not bothered
to try anything.
So yeah, so when they tell about Arthur Shelby,
yes,
he's even got tattoos of Arthur Shelby, and he's just been he's associated, which is a bit scary really when you think about it. If you associates with him, but and I tend to agree with that. I think that was a bit of a cop out. I do know that there's a bit of off screen issues
friction.
with him, with the actor. God, should know his name. He had some personal troubles, and I think at the time of shooting he hadn't overcome them. And I think, unfortunately, now he seems to be okay, but I think it was just timing-wise wasn't great, and I think it was too big a risk to include him in. But he's been, every time I've seen him himself in an interview since this has come out, he doesn't seem to have any bad blood about it. He seems to have understood the decision, but that doesn't necessarily mean that you have to just cast that character who was very beloved, just like it feels like a very throwaway. They do keep going back to it during the film, but ultimately, it's still that same scene, that same thing. Whether you've got a different take or a different angle on it, it doesn't improve the ending for that character at all. In fact, I dare say it makes it worse. So that was my main criticism with it. But because I like Peaky Blinders, the series, I liked it. I enjoyed it. It was definitely. I'll probably watch it again. I haven't seen it since I went to the cinema, obviously, to see it when it came out on the Lux thing. I haven't seen it since it's been on Netflix come out, but I probably will go back and watch it again. Yeah. But it's like you're saying, like it's predictable and stuff. Yeah, I think the whole series has been like that. There've been very few occasions where I've gone, "Oh, that was totally out of left field. That caught me out." Yeah. I think one thing that it's always done well is, even though it is fairly predictable, when it comes, it doesn't disappoint. So when that moment comes, when you know what's going to happen, it's always been, like you said, the cinematic stuff. Like there's always welding going on, there's always this going on. Do you know what I mean? To make it look good, but no one cares. You know what I mean? Yeah. It just looks great, feels great, but yeah. So I mean, I would recommend it. Yes.
Okay. Well, I mean, I would. If we were doing so, it'd be a 3 for me. So that's a recommendation. It's worth watching, especially if you're a Peaky Blinders fan. Now, whether anyone will listen to anything else I say now because I've dissed Peaky Blinders is a different kettle of fish. Right, other stuff I watched. I watched Bring Her Back. Took me a while to see it. Horror film from last year.
One of my favourites.
Excellent. Absolutely excellent. Don't really want to say too much about it because although it's been out a little while, I don't want to spoil it because there's so much kind of to it.
Did you see why at the time I had trouble? Doing the tale as well.
The premise is two kids who are in the kind of foster care system get taken in by a lady who, from the word go, is a little bit eccentric and a bit kind of.
She's amazing.
Bit crazy.
Sally Hawkins.
Yeah.
I can't believe
she already fosters a child who was a bit weird and that doesn't seem quite right. And then it kind of goes from there. I thought I'd actually worked out what was what about halfway through, and then I had the rug completely pulled from under me. I didn't realise, which is always brilliant. But what I will mention, and this is the challenge for anybody else, is there are two scenes. One of them involving not to give too much away, one involving a carving knife.
Yeah.
And one involving some kitchen work surface.
Yeah.
Now the challenge is to watch either of those scenes and not look away from the screen while you're watching them, because they are horrendous.
Yeah.
Absolutely horrendous. The squirmiest things I think I've seen in I don't know when.
So I was saying to you at the time, it was
really well done.
Yeah. It was unnerving. It's like if you're watching that, if you're engrossed in that, it's such an unnerving film.
Yeah. I will say, it doesn't matter too much to spoil those two particular scenes, but I will say both the carving knives and the work surface involve teeth.
Yes, and it's not a cooking show, by the way.
And it's not a cooking show, and it is absolutely horrendous. So there's your challenge. Put in the comments if you managed to watch those two scenes without looking away.
Yeah.
I was like, hell.
It's shocking. Like it is, and the sound design in that.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
But Let us know if you know what we're talking about and what you thought.
Yeah, but great film. If you're a horror
fan. What do you think to the look of it though? It seems it's also just makes you feel really. It's got grey and wet all the time. And it just feels
but just really unnerving. You know something really terrible is going to happen.
Like that David Fincher sort of Seven type look to it. Yeah.
But definitely watch it if you're a horror fan, and particularly of kind of modern horror that's not your straightforward slasher stuff. Hereditary type stuff, that kind of thing, then you will enjoy it.
Sally Hawkins should have had an Oscar nomination. No disrespect to Amy Madigan, because she deserved it for Weapons, but if they're giving nominations for that type of performance, I don't know how she got overlooked. Excuse me. And then on that note, the geezer from I Swear as well. The guy from I Swear, the lead guy.
Yeah, I've not committed his name to memory yet, I'm afraid.
But how he didn't get an Oscar nomination?
Well, because it wasn't on in the cinema in America.
So it was because he didn't have a week in LA. I think that's what it is. Yeah.
Yeah, it has to be shown, doesn't it?
Something like that. And it has now, but I feel like it's going to be too early it'll just get forgotten about. I think.
But no, I think he would. I think he would have done if it had been shown.
Yeah.
So what else did you watch, my friend Jamie T?
So what I watched was I watched quite a few things. I watched TV programs that I was telling you about recently. That I watched.
Well, you did mention
SNL UK.
Yes.
SNL UK.
So a bit of sick came into my mouth then.
Okay, so I watched the first series with the kids, and not everything hits at all, but I think from watching it with eyes of somebody of a certain age who used to watch comedy sketch shows from a long while back, and then watching the kids, my kids was laughing at, and I didn't necessarily find as funny. And then some of the bits where I found funny and they didn't. I felt like what it is clearly achieving. I think it was my watching experience. It's clearly achieving something across the board because we all found something funny. Well,
that's good that you've had that insight. Having younglings around.
So something was singing there. But why I think it's super important. The first show was the best. Second show dropped a bit. Third show picked up a bit. But what I really think is important. And I think it's hugely important for the future. And talking about spec scripts as well. When was the last time you saw a sketch show?
Mitchell and Webb tried to bring one back,
right?
But it didn't do
it. Was considered super risky because of something you may or may not say. What gets passed, everyone takes responsibility. So there's some pretty bold jokes on these, particularly regarding Andrew, Prince Andrew.
I only watched the first episode.
Yeah,
Yeah.
So what I think is why it's so important, and it's so important that we don't do this weekly critique of that gag, this gag, that week. Just let it run. Because I think it's important that we start doing these things again and it gets accepted, so then someone else might do another sketch show and then you do another sketch show because it's sort of holding the dam a little bit. And it might get the odd joke wrong.
Yeah.
And it might get a bit of backlash, but that's comedy.
What I will say is that I think new comedians that you've not seen before is a bit like songs. The more you see them, the more you can start to like them and get to know them.
Yeah, and I thought some of them was great.
And there was a couple of guys who I thought were quite funny in the first one. I thought the Tina Fey thing was just a terrible mistake. I thought she was nothing she did was.
Didn't you find the sketch funny where they was talking about people at the internet to make the internet as worse as possible?
Yes.
I'm the X guy and make it as small as possible.
That was all right.
That killed me.
But then I thought the Last Supper scene with all the famous things.
Didn't you think the guy doing Diana was funny?
No, I didn't like that at all.
I think overall it wasn't the best sketch in the world, but many bits inside that. I mean, the guy who played Diana, the actual comedian, I can't remember his name now, sorry, but he's done quite a few sketches. He's brilliant. Like that's made me go and find him and look at his actual stand-up.
Yeah. It was the other guy for me, and I don't know his name. He played Shakespeare. He kept going off to London and coming back.
I must to London. Yeah, he's really good. He
was quite funny.
Did he not see 45 seconds? What kind of granddad is Irish is your granddad?
Yeah. That was it. But that was him again, though, wasn't it?
Yeah.
So I think he
I don't know how you did like.
He was the only stand-up one, but I did struggle to get through. But then saying that, I think the American Saturday Night Live is hit and miss.
Yes.
I think even from the very beginning with the Eddie Murphy stuff and thinking, there's a lot of that didn't work.
But the fact it's gone for so long, and the fact that people are able to pull out classics, and everybody has a classic, is what's important. They write, it's live. They've got a week or so to write it. Well, not a week to write. I'm sure they do a lot of pre-production on the series, but the writing as they go, it's a massive undertaking. And I just feel like everybody getting on the back of it because it might have dropped or whatever is not positive for the future of sketch shows, comedy, stuff like that. It needs not. I'm not saying that they can get away with murder, not by any stretch, but it needs to be handled well. Like the response to it. If we're just micro-criticising things, which seems to be the thing nowadays, it won't break out and you won't see that return. You know what I mean? I
did see a YouTube clip, which I think was from the second episode, which was about British-themed pubs. So people going abroad, and the first place they go is they're in a new country, and all they can do is go to a British bar or an Irish bar. Now that didn't make me chuckle.
There was one as well with Jamie Dornan where it says Americans. I don't know if this was the American version actually, or was it our version, but Americans when they go into an Irish bar. And he's like, I'm 1/16th Irish, and everybody in the thing goes, stop, our brothers come home, and they have a massive thing and stuff like that. But honestly, I think there are. It reminds me of In Living Colour. I don't know if you ever watched that, but like Jim Carrey and Jamie Foxx and stuff like that. Some of their sketches were just so offbeat and so Americanized as well. Like if he wasn't American, you wouldn't know half the people he was referencing or companies or whatever. But there are classics you still watch to this day, like Fire Marshal Bill for Jim Carrey. If you've never seen it, go and watch Fire Marshal Bill. It's ridiculous.
But it's not kind of smell of Reeves and Mortimer kind of quality, or
but again, do we want that back or not?
Fast Show or absolutely.
So something has to stand. Hold the whole. You know what I mean?
I think the court of public opinion will be too much. I don't think it'll carry on. I think there's so much hatred.
I really
hope
on
it does. But it's just hatred.
And that's why I'll support it. I'll
it.
support it. No matter even if there's an episode what I didn't particularly care for, I'll support it because I think it's super important.
Okay, that's Saturday Night Live UK.
Yeah.
I have one more. Shall I go?
On Sky One.
So Now TV has merged with HBO Max. So now if you have Now TV, or I don't know if you have Sky TV, but you have Now TV, you get all the HBO stuff. So The Pitt has popped up on there. The full season 1, which I didn't realise that the full season 1 was already done, and season 2 has just begun. So I've watched all of season 1. So back in the 90s, we had the arrival of ER. Which made us all realise how absolute shite Casualty was on BBC One. We've then had a couple of other things.
What's the other one that my daughter really loves?
There's one called Doctors that's on in the day.
Oh God, no. An American one with a woman.
Grey's Anatomy.
Grey's Anatomy.
Yeah. So we've had Grey's Anatomy, which was more romancy, a lot more about relationships and stuff.
Scrubs was a comedy version, which by the way, don't say anything negative about Scrubs because I absolutely
know you
adore
like
it.
Scrubs.
In fact, Scrubs is something that I've watched as well. They've done a reboot.
I think you did that last time.
Right, okay. It's still going good.
It's still going good. So now we have The Pitt.
Yeah.
So weirdly, starring Noah Wyle, who was the big guy from ER. So instantly, when you start watching it, you get very much
ER vibes.
Yeah. However, there's a difference. So whereas ER was kind of episodic with the relationship stuff kind of being the arc that kind of went through it, but you'd got a different kind of medical case maybe each episode. This is based over a 15-hour shift. So it's a 15-hour shift in ER.
So basically, like 24 Jack Bauer.
Yeah, an hour, 15 episodes, an hour per episode. Another difference is there is swearing. There is an incredible amount of gore and close-up surgery. So the whole idea is the ER is backed up, as most ERs are. There's no room upstairs in the surgical ward, so even a lot of the surgery has to take place down the bottom. It starts and never stops. There isn't a single bit of filler in the whole thing.
Okay.
So you basically go from one situation to another, but because it's one shift, you've got the same patients who are in for certain things. It might be in 7 episodes because their treatments.
It's not a one though, is it?
Treatments all go. No,
right.
No. And I wouldn't even say there were any bits that were particularly stood out as though they were trying to do that. That's not part of it. But it's it's full on, and what's even better about it is it builds. So as you get further on the episodes, their strain and stresses become more as things start to hit the fan. By episode 12, we get a mass shooting that takes up 2 episodes.
Right.
With a point where they're operating on these people being brought in, the staff in the ER are giving blood while they're operating on people because all the blood's run out. It's great. Now, my wife used to work, just to give it a bit more kudos, my wife used to work in operating theatres.
Okay.
She's seen it. She said it's the most accurate thing when it's come to the surgery stuff she's ever seen on telly.
That's good.
There's a birthing scene. There's no clever angles so you can't see what's happening. It's all there. It's really good, really good. And to go back to Noah Wiley, he is absolutely effing awesome. He's absolutely
I think he's a great
brilliant.
actor anyway.
He's very, very flawed character, but he's basically the doctor in charge of the whole thing.
Mm-hmm.
So he kind of runs the whole show, in and out of all the different people. But you're following about eight's main characters, and then you've got all the background characters as well. But The Pit, that's my hot TV pick.
Yeah, so I ain't got around to watching that yet.
Yeah.
I did put it on. I was in too much of a rush, to be honest with you. I did put it on, and after about 10-15 minutes, I think I was either having already going somewhere, so I didn't finish it, or I remember thinking, I think 15 minutes is not enough anyway, but it felt too much like a...
And I think because you see him straight away as well.
Yeah. So, I haven't given it a thing. But the way I saw somebody sort of review it was like, it's done for like the ER sort of genre, what the Bear has done for the cooking genre.
You can see it running for years.
Yeah.
It's one of them shows. You can see it running for years. You can see that you'll be looking back at characters and say, God, they look older now and all that kind of stuff. But no, really enjoyed it. And like I say, not a single filler. All just cracking, all 15 episodes.
I'll get into it.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Try and binge watch all 15 episodes in one go and see if it feels like you're actually on shift with
them.
Mate. We did it in about 4 days.
Yeah, no. Okay. I
Very
wish I had that kind
watch.
of time.
Yeah. So that's The Pit.
Cool.
Watch it.
I watched an old film on my daughter's request, believe it or not. Bronx Tale.
Oh, yes.
De Niro and Chaz Palminteri.
Yeah.
Actually, what led from that was we watched a film called Something Man with Danny DeVito, where he goes to a military school.
So yes,
Renaissance Man.
That's it.
So we watched that because my kids, to my kids' credit, they do kind of like ask what kind of films to watch within this genre. They feel like watching this film, and they're quite open to watching all the films. I think I'm pretty blessed in that way, really. And this was one of them. She was in the mood. She just watched Dead Poets Society. Now I know it's a completely different vibe. Dead Poets Society is a bit more serious, a bit more dramatic, but the theme itself was kind of loosely based on that. So I said, well, there's this film, but it's a little bit more light-hearted as such. She watched it, enjoyed it, but then there's a young actor in that who plays the young lad in De Niro's son in Bronx Tale. So I think she'd looked at his thing and then gone on. And then she asked me about A Bronx Tale, and we watched that and loved it. They loved it. I mean, I've watched it 50 times.
Yeah.
But Alice had not seen it either, so they really love that. And that's a film, if you haven't seen it before, I might be getting this wrong, but I'm pretty certain it's De Niro's directorial debut.
I was just trying to think who directs it.
Yeah, so it's De Niro. So what happened was Chaz Palminteri, and I believe he's now weirdly come full circle and done an actual video version of this. But Chaz Palminteri wrote it, the guy who plays Sonny, and he used to perform it as a one-man show. He did all the characters, and De Niro had heard about it, gone to see him, and then gone into his dressing room and sort of said, do you want to fancy making this into a film? I might be wrong here, but De Niro, I think, was pushing for the Sonny role. But I think Chaz Palminteri sort of stood his ground, and then they sort of agreed, and then De Niro moved over to the dad role. Might be getting that wrong. I think that's from an interview that I've seen. But De Niro sort of backing it, got all the funding, and then De Niro directed it. And it's just got that real brilliant 90s film feel, like that they've all got like that, like your Goodfellas and stuff like that. It's not that cold, but it's in that vein. And De Niro's in the 90s, so you know he was good in it. Young lad's good, and Chaz Palminteri is absolutely amazing in it. A lot of touchy subjects, but still relevant now.
Yep.
But yeah, it's definitely worth a rewatch or a new watch if you haven't seen it. But now I've just seen that Chaz Palminteri's done. I think it's on Netflix or Amazon or something like that. He's done a live show of him going back to do his one-man show himself again. I'd love to see that. I might go and watch that. Yeah. But yeah, so that's out now as well. So that's what we watched. That's an older film, but yeah.
Brilliant.
Yeah.
Well, I think you can take us home.
Okay.
Daddy.
So yeah.
Every time I say that, it feels weird. I don't know why I say it.
I know, it does.
Isn't there a bit
weird.
in Jungle Book where they finish the dancing with the King of the Swingers and Baloo's going, "Take me home, Daddy"?
Yeah, and I still keep going back.
Yeah.
Even though you make me feel
I
uncomfortable.
know.
Right, so we need some kind of intimacy coordinator on this show.
We do.
Right, so so like I say, give us a follow on Facebook, Instagram,
And Spotify. And if you see us, just follow us. If you see us walking around, just
and then just tell us what your favourite film is.
Yeah.
Put some comments underneath so we can repeat them next episode, and then tell us who your favourite Bond is. But most importantly, subscribe and follow and do all the things that you're supposed to do on YouTube. Yeah. Okay. So see you on the next one, guys.
See you later.